fantastic people. Shelly Cool, right here.
Joy and her teacher, Jerry Phelps.
Good morning. We're going to do this like church. Good morning. It is a pleasure to be with all of you today. I'm excited about this conversation.
Me too.
Let's get into it. Curious to hear from you, Samara, about your early music education experiences here in New York.
Well, I grew up, as you might already know, in a musical family. So before I even stepped foot in school, there was music going on in my house. My dad is a bass player, so he was playing a lot of Brothers Johnson, a lot of Motown. My mom, Luther Vandross, and all that kind of stuff. So when I had a lot of my music education at home, and then when I went to school, public school, I was participating in chorus, performances like musical theater. I have to tell you, Mr. Phelps was my 6th grade music teacher, and I remember auditioning for you to be in a play once on this island, playing Urzuli, and I think I auditioned with Beyonce's Listen. I did not have any of the tools or the equipment to be singing that song at like 10 years old, but he allowed me to be a part of the musical anyway, and has always been a guiding light in terms of like fostering and helping me to find my confidence in my voice and stuff like that. Making connections with Carnegie Hall's Count Me In. Like, I'm so excited to be having this conversation. Sorry to backtrack, but that was my early music education.
Thank you for that. She definitely had the tools. I'm sure you all know that, well know that by now. So I know you grew up in a very, very musical, musician-centric family. Enter your schooling. Curious to know, what are the things, if you're really to look back on your time in music education, that perhaps you didn't have, that you wish you had had experiences, connections, mentorships, that looking back, you're like, oh, it would be really helpful if?
Well, I'll say music education pretty much throughout my school career. I never knew how important it was to listen and to blend and to be aware of your surroundings, not so much, yourself and, wanting to sing as best as you possibly can and impress your friends and that kind of thing, but blending in with a section, being a part of an alto section or listening to a particular detail in a song. And I feel like having a teacher who is passionate about music and can show you those details, even though, you've been listening to music all this time, so it's stuff that you know, but for me as an 11 or 12-year-old, learning about those details that really make music what it is and making music with other people, I think was very instrumental for me.
Excellent. So about a year ago, I got the distinct pleasure of watching you sell out Carnegie Hall. And you mentioned the Count Me In program. That was a program that we did when you were in 6th or 7th grade, something like that. I'm curious to know what other experiences like that you had sort of like adjacent to school, but perhaps like external programs, opportunities that really helped shape who you've become in your own artistry.
I'm not gonna lie, Mr. Phelps, a lot of it started with you. We went to go see how to do business without really trying with Nick Jonas, and we were performing. I think later on, I got the chance to see Hamilton when I was in like 10th grade, but a lot of the experience, I think we went to see Rigoletto at the Met or something like that. So a lot of, I guess I should say I'm really grateful to be from New York and to have had my music education in New York, because the city was our backyard in terms of being able to go to Broadway shows as a 10-year-old and really see, how it all works from professionals. Since then, I've been able to do certain programs, like I learned upright bass when I was in high school. I went to a summer program in York College. And even, when I was in college, I got to participate in a program called Jazz House Kids and be a vocal TA, and see what it meant to teach students about music, about jazz specifically. And so I think all of these experiences, whether I was learning an instrument or whether I was watching a Broadway show or seeing him make our outfits for said Once on This Island and Willy Wonka, it was all, it all helped me to understand that there's more to it than just singing your solo. There's a lot of parts to this whole picture.
You talk about this diverse set of experiences that you had, right? Both in your family, in church, in school, outside of school. I'm curious to know just your overall thoughts around what equity and access really means right now to kids that look to you and say, oh, I go to New York City public schools. Oh, I go to Soundview. I go to Fordham. I want to do that. I want to be that. What do you see as like the sort of barrier to this, or the ways in which we can all kind of band together and improve equity and access to those kinds of opportunities?
Such a good question. I just didn't feel limited in my music education. Like, I feel like I was able to explore as many outlets as possible through musical theater, through chorus, through different after-school programs in my high school. I'm not sure what the specific barrier is to limiting those kind of experiences for kids, whether it's funding or whether it's just it not reaching certain areas. Like for Carnegie Hall's Count Me In, you were the one who had to reach out to them to make sure it's like, hey, there's a middle school here in the Bronx, and there are kids here you might not know, but they could benefit from learning about choral music and singing SATB and exploring a certain area that they don't even know they could probably excel at. So I think, maybe the barrier is just recognition and awareness, and I'm glad for me, at least for me, I had a passionate teacher who was willing to advocate for us on that front. And I know that there are so many within the system who want those kinds of opportunities and who feel maybe like their school or their students or their demographic of students aren't being seen or aren't being given those same opportunities. So I guess it's up to us now, whatever the barrier there is, it's up to us to bridge the gap and advocate for our kids, like we always have, like you always have.
I remember being so excited. They selected Samara's photo to be the program ad for the following year for that Carnegie Hall program. And I was like, oh my God, one of my students is on the Carnegie Hall ad. Little did I know she would sell out Carnegie Hall some years later.
But when I tell you I felt like a celebrity, because we walked into school and they were trying to get everyone to sign up for Count Me In. And so my face, listen, my hair was not, I was like, I looked so young. But I think they caught me, actually, what's crazy, sorry, sidetrack. It was a picture of us performing at Fordham High School for the Arts, which that's where I went to go for high school. I auditioned there with songs that I learned in Count Me In, like Carmel Ben and stuff. And that's how I got into that vocal program, and that's how I discovered that I like jazz through the instrumental teacher who was there. So it's all so connected. I look back at everybody that I've learned and how much sorry, I feel like all I'm saying is just how grateful I am to Mr. Phelps, but it's true. So yeah, it's all, I'm truly honored.
Thank you. More broadly, I think it's really like the opportunity, right? Like you got to go to a school where a music program was, or there was a desire for that. And unfortunately, that's not true everywhere. A lot of conversation is had around representation, just in media and entertainment. What do you think the role for young artists growing up in schools right now, you as a woman, as a Black woman, as a Bronx native, a New Yorker, what does that mean to you, and what responsibility do you feel like you carry with that?
Well, it meant a lot to me to have educators who were women, who were Black women, who were sort of showing me the way, and showing, like I said before, what it means to be passionate about your art. And so it means a lot to me now to be able to say I have an open rehearsal at Carnegie Hall or at New York Phil or wherever, and I want as many students as possible to be able to just enjoy the experience and have that opportunity. Maybe they don't, ever see another orchestra again, but at least that opportunity was presented. And so it was important for me growing up to see that, to see even my parents, my family, my aunts and uncles, my dad, and teachers, like I was saying before, who were passionate enough to show us what it looked like to be an artist, and what it looked like to dedicate yourself to your craft. And so looking up to them at 10 years old, and even now 10-year-olds looking up at me, I'm like, okay, I want to carry on that responsibility of just being myself, and showing what I love, because maybe you'll gravitate towards it, or maybe that will inspire you to work hard and dedicate yourself to the craft of your choosing, but the opportunity has to be there.
I always think that we use the word teacher to mean like a pretty narrow, specific thing. But when it comes to children, I believe that they are all ours, right? Everyone is a teacher in some capacity, particularly for children that need guidance, need mentorship. What do you think, for everyone here in the room, what do you think some of the most important characteristics of a good teacher or mentor are?
Some of the best characteristics that I've seen, I would say somebody, I don't know, I feel like I use the word passionate a lot today, but it really is either passionate or energetic, or just having a willingness to guide, like if I have questions, or if any one of my classmates had questions, I know my high school vocal teacher was there, so I guess having that presence and having that willingness to lead, and willingness to guide students who maybe don't even know any better, but who are curious, I think is what helped me, because if I didn't have the present teachers that I did, even all up through college. I went to SUNY Purchase, and anytime I had a question, anytime I was unsure of something, or intimidated, honestly, by the fact that I didn't, know as much theory as my fellow person, or harmony, or whatever, there was always a teacher there who was willing to help me. So I think that presence and passion is what I look for. What I've experienced most is what's been helpful to me.
Beautiful. Now, when I first met you, you were really into gospel, pop, like the Beyonce stuff, musical theater. Somewhere along the way, you clearly made your way to jazz. Talk to us a little bit about where that happened and how sort of your public school education influenced your decisions about what you pursue.
So, Fordham High School for the Arts, I met so many incredible teachers and peers there. And I first was sort of introduced to jazz through that program I was telling you about at York College. And I played upright bass for 2 weeks, and we were learning jazz compositions, but I didn't listen to them outside of that, but that was just my entry point. Fast forward to senior year, and I was thinking, I don't know which school I want to go to, what college. I don't even know much about jazz other than those songs that I learned on bass. I didn't even sing anything, but we had an after-school program. It was like an elective, and I sang Route 66. It was the only jazz song that I knew. and Things Ain't What They Used to Be, which is a blues that Ella did. But other than that, I wasn't super immersed in it. But I used those songs to audition for SUNY Purchase. And the head of the conservatory at the time was like, I think we can work with this, because I knew that I wanted to sing.
I think they did.
No, I seriously, those audition tapes are alive anywhere, delete them. But I knew that I wanted to sing, but I had auditioned for I think I only auditioned for 2 schools. I auditioned for Skidmore and I auditioned for Berkeley, and I didn't get to either one. But I didn't have enough money to go to either of those schools anyway. And so when I discovered the jazz program at SUNY Purchase, I was like, even if I don't pursue jazz, I feel like I can learn enough and glean enough from being in this musical environment to hopefully take whatever skills I learn into my musical career, whatever that may be. But then when I got there and I was surrounded by those teachers who were not only educators, but they were actually playing. They were actively playing gigs with jazz legends, or they were themselves. It made me want to go in that direction. And I think because of all the education that I had up until that point of being able to listen and be aware, it transferred immediately over into jazz.
Beautiful. A lot of people have very rightfully given you a significant amount of credit for sort of infusing a lot of beautiful, wonderful energy into jazz in this sort of sweeping way. What gives you hope about the young jazz artists that you see coming up, that are coming to you, talking to you, and even giving space with this thing that you do in Harlem now?
What gives me hope? Oh, you're right. So I've been hosting a jam session in Harlem for the past 5 months. I kind of hijacked a restaurant, pretty much, in my neighborhood, and was like, you could have a music night here. I'll bring the people. I'll bring the musicians. You do your thing. And it's been so great to see. And I'm 26, I'm turning 27 this year, but I'm seeing freshmen in college who have that same curiosity in their eyes that I did when I was just sort of coming into this world. And I'm from New York, but I had never been in a jazz club until I got to college. And so this space of playing with each other, and it's not really intergenerational, but it's just more different age groups of people coming together and participating in this tradition has been so incredible. And I feel more connected to this community more than ever, because it really is, it's something that you learn by doing, and doing a lot. You learn by playing a lot. Like, I feel like I never truly got rid of my nerves, but because jazz puts you in so many different places and positions to learn with different people, like, I can now pick up, a band of people I never played with before and make music with them because I accumulated those skills being in school. And so now seeing these, I don't want to say kids, but young adults doing the same thing it's truly a blessing to witness. And we're doing it tonight. So if you are not doing anything from 7 to 11, we'll be in Harlem.
It's the Corner Bistro and Lounge.
Yes, the Corner Lounge Bistro on the corner of East 130th and Madison.
It's really spectacular. You should go. Thinking again back to sort of like arts education in schools, you talk about these young artists coming up and the hope that they give you. If you could change immediately one thing about every music program in New York City schools, what would that be? What would you add to it?
Oh my gosh. In terms of maybe instrumentalists and folk, okay, in the scope of jazz, I would say, I'm sorry I keep saying this, but more passionate teachers. Because I have heard stories, not necessarily in New York, but just examples of students who are like, we want to learn, but like, and this is the most exaggerated, dramatic case, but the teacher is not even in the room. He gave the student, permission or control over the room because he doesn't want anything to do with the jazz program. That's the most dramatic case that I've heard so far. And I'm just like, there are young minds waiting to be poured into. And in that specific instance, there wasn't somebody equipped to share that passion that maybe I learned. So if I could change one thing, and it's not something necessarily to change because I know there are passionate teachers, but for every program, there's somebody who is passionate about that and willing to guide and be patient in sharing their passion with students who, may not know it yet, but they're going to learn something and take something from it.
Thank you for sharing so many of your insights today. Got one final question for you. Why do you think arts education in this conversation still matters right now?
I think it matters because we're charged with shaping the young minds who are going to shape art. Like, whoever is going to change or lead or forge the next movement is going to come from those schools. It's going to come from the young people being educated in arts, in voice, in music, in everything. And so if you don't get to them early enough, they won't have a chance to peak anywhere. They won't have a chance to to have their own creative arrival. And that's what I love about the people that I've been inspired by, the inspirations that I've been inspired by. They were shaped by a certain influence or an inspiration, or they saw somebody in concert, or they heard somebody on the record, and they said, I want to do that. And they learned about it to the point that they understood themselves, and they understood, oh, I actually have my own voice, so I can take all of the stuff, all of the building blocks of what I love about music and these people's specific interpretations, and I can have my own voice. But if you never get that opportunity to have that spark and have somebody guide you and guide that flame so that it's mature, then we're not going to have any changes. We're not going to have any big movements in art if it doesn't come from the young. So it still matters, and hopefully, I mean, everybody in this room is taking a part in that journey and that process. So not to be corny, but we're in this together.
Yeah, you're gonna block that. Thank you again for the conversation today. I feel like I can confidently speak on behalf of everyone here and New Yorkers at large. We claim you hard, and we are so proud of you.